there is a version of your life you'll never get to meet. Not because you failed, not because you lacked talent, not even because you made terrible financial decisions. That version disappeared one ordinary day at a time. It vanished while you were convinced there was still plenty of time. Nothing announced the loss. No warning arrived. No deadline appeared on your calendar. Life simply kept moving. And every year you delayed became another year that time could never return. The unsettling part is this. Nearly everyone believes they'll recognize the moment they're officially late. They won't. By the time it feels late, it usually a decision so quiet that almost nobody notices it. The decision to wait. Not forever. Just a little longer. One more year before investing. One more promotion before saving seriously. One more debt before building wealth. One more milestone before taking control. Years later, people look back searching for the moment everything slipped away. They expect to find one dramatic mistake. Instead, they find thousands of ordinary evenings that looked exactly like this one. The version of your life that almost existed didn't disappear because of one bad decision. It disappeared because time never argued back. Time never sends reminders. It never knocks on your door to say, if you don't begin now, this opportunity won't return. It simply keeps moving, while your future quietly becomes someone else's present. And that raises an uncomfortable question. If waiting feels so harmless, why does it become so expensive? The answer has surprisingly little to do with money. We've been taught that wealth is built through income. Work harder, earn more, get promoted, increase your salary. That sounds logical. Yet countless people with impressive incomes remain financially trapped, while others earning far less quietly build extraordinary freedom. So what separates them? It isn't intelligence. It isn't luck. And surprisingly, it isn't even investment returns. It's timing. Not market timing. Life timing. Behavioral economists have spent decades studying a tendency called present bias. Human beings naturally place greater value on immediate comfort than future rewards, even when the future reward is dramatically larger. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect you. The future feels abstract. Today's inconvenience feels real. Saving feels like giving something up. Spending feels like gaining something. The strange part is that your future self eventually becomes your present self. By then, every delayed decision arrives all at once. Retirement suddenly isn't 40 years away. Children suddenly aren't toddlers anymore. Energy isn't unlimited. Opportunities aren't endless. The future quietly catches up. And that's when many people discover something unsettling. Starting late doesn't simply reduce your wealth. It changes the entire version of your life. Consider two teachers. Neither earns an extraordinary salary. Neither wins the lottery. Neither invents a revolutionary business. The first begins investing a modest amount in her 20s. She isn't confident. She doesn't know everything. She simply starts before she feels ready. The second waits, not because she's irresponsible, because life feels busy. A wedding, a mortgage, a child, unexpected expenses, career changes. Each reason makes perfect sense on its own. Years pass almost invisibly. Eventually, she starts investing much larger amounts than the first teacher ever did. Yet, despite contributing far more money, she struggles to catch up. At first glance, this seems unfair. But compound growth has never been interested in fairness. It rewards duration more than intensity. That's the hidden rule almost nobody appreciates. People think wealth comes from doing extraordinary things. More often, it comes from allowing ordinary decisions to survive for extraordinary lengths of time. A tree planted 40 years ago doesn't look impressive because someone watered it yesterday. It looks impressive because someone planted it when there was almost nothing to see. This creates one of the greatest financial illusions of adulthood. We believe the hardest part is making money. Often the hardest part is believing that tiny actions matter before they produce visible results. Human psychology hates invisible progress. We go to the gym expecting visible change. We study expecting immediate improvement. We save expecting noticeable wealth. But nearly every meaningful system in life hides its rewards for longer than feels reasonable. Then suddenly, everything accelerates. The same principle shapes financial lives. Months of investing appear insignificant. Years feel disappointing. Then one decade quietly becomes two. Returns begin generating their own returns. The system starts working harder than the person. By then, what looked slow was actually gathering momentum. Ironically, this is exactly when many late starters become discouraged. They compare themselves to someone who began earlier and conclude they're too far behind. Comparison creates paralysis. Paralysis creates more delay. Delay creates an even wider gap. The real enemy isn't a lack of money. It's the belief that you've already missed your chance. Research into human decision-making repeatedly shows that losses hurt psychologically far more than equivalent gains feel rewarding. This is called loss aversion. It explains why someone who feels behind often avoids looking at their finances altogether. Looking hurts. Ignoring feels easier, but ignored time continues moving. Silence becomes expensive. Then another hidden force appears. Lifestyle inflation. A raise arrives. Relief follows. Then, almost immediately, expenses expand to meet the new income. A larger apartment, a newer car, more subscriptions, better restaurants. Nothing outrageous, just slightly better versions of everything. Eventually, the raise disappears without ever creating lasting freedom. The paycheck grew. The financial life didn't. This explains another surprising contradiction. Income doesn't automatically purchase options. It often purchases obligations. The more obligations you collect, the more future income becomes committed before you even earn it. Freedom quietly shrinks, while earnings quietly grow. That's why some retirees discover they spent 40 years increasing their lifestyle without increasing their flexibility. They became wealthier on paper, while becoming poorer in choices. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about starting early is that people assume it's primarily about retirement. It isn't. Starting early buys something much more valuable. Margin. The ability to survive setbacks without panic. The freedom to leave unhealthy jobs. The confidence to pursue meaningful work. The chance to help family without destroying your own future. Money accumulated early doesn't simply grow. It changes the kinds of decisions available later. That's why delayed financial decisions ripple far beyond bank accounts. They shape relationships, careers, health, even identity. Eventually, something remarkable happens. People who started early often stop thinking about money every day, not because they're obsessed with wealth, because good systems remove constant decision-making. Automation replaces willpower. Habits replace motivation. Time replaces urgency. Meanwhile, those who waited often believe they need dramatic solutions. Riskier investments, impossible savings targets, perfect market timing. But the missing ingredient was never dramatic action. It was uninterrupted time. Perhaps that's the quiet lesson hidden beneath every financially successful life. Very few people felt completely prepared when they began. They simply accepted that certainty arrives after movement, not before it. The version of your life that feels impossibly distant isn't built through one extraordinary breakthrough. It's assembled from decisions so small they barely feel important when you make them. One evening instead of another. One year instead of the next. One habit repeated until it becomes invisible. People often say they wish they had started sooner. What they're really saying is something deeper.